Hello, bonjour, Alberta. Did you know that at least 238,000 people speak français in Alberta? And those numbers just keep on growing? Oui, oui, c'est vrai, it's true. And thanks to Shaw TV Community Access Programming, we get to reach out to everyone to let you know all about special people, places, events, and activities happening right here in this great province, in both English and en français. That's right, mes amis. We begin the first part of our program in English, and then we repeat it en français. So stay with us. Restez à l'écoute.
Bienvenue and welcome to Hello, Bonjour, Alberta. I'm Marc Lalonde.
And I'm Anne Boiteau.
In this episode, we're very excited to introduce you to Jay Ingram, co-founder, and Chloë Smith, communications for BEAKERHEAD. BEAKERHEAD, you can tell just from the name exactly what that is, or not, I guess. Anyway, welcome.
Thank you.
To get started, let's first of all find out a little bit about each of you. Let's start with you, Jay. Can you give us a brief biography, because I know yours is rather lengthy.
I'll make it really brief. So I'm really a science writer, communicator, and I have been for my entire career. Notable things, I hosted Quirks and Quarks on CBC Radio for 13 years, Daily Planet on Discovery Channel for 16 years. I stick with things when I like them. And then since I moved out here, out west from Toronto, I've been doing a variety of things, but obviously BEAKERHEAD is probably the most important.
It's a big one.
And hopefully you'll stick with BEAKERHEAD for at least 16
It'll be very,
years.
Yeah, it would be very hard for me to leave BEAKERHEAD. I can tell you, because I, along with Marianne Moser, we are the co-founders of it.
Okay, great. And Chloë?
Yes, and myself, I work with the communications team at BEAKERHEAD, and I help them develop what extravagant things you'll be able to see this September.
And what's your background? Is it,
In my background, I've actually I studied at Mount Royal University for public relations.
Okay, and are you from Ontario also?
Oh no, I'm from Calgary.
Whoa!
I am born and raised.
Did I detect a tone there? I don't know.
Yeah, we're all laughing because Chloë is my niece, as it turns out. No other reason for that. Okay, great. Okay, BEAKERHEAD. So,
When did it start?
Yeah, what is that? When did it start?
So you could think of it as a festival. That's a word we don't always use because we're year-round, really, and a festival sounds like it's 5 days and done. But it started 2 years ago. 2013 was the first time we appeared in Calgary, 5 days in September. Last year, 2014, same thing. And it's we like to use the word mashup, which I don't think is a real word in English or any other language, but we're bringing together artists, engineers, and scientists and try and get the creativity out of that mix that usually doesn't happen, because engineers don't usually associate with artists and vice versa. But when you put them together, you can create fabulous things.
And so who thought of that at the beginning? Like, how did it come to be?
So Marianne and I have been running actually a science communications program at the Banff Centre for 10 years. And when we're there, we're taking young scientists and trying to make them better communicators, more entertainer than scientists. And from that, Marianne had the idea that we could make this. She always wants to make things bigger. Right?
Should do that with engineers too.
Yeah, to do it with engineers and bring in artists to get that artistic creativity, because we realize that young engineers, people just going into engineering, want to do crazy things, but after 4 years of engineering and getting a job with a pipeline company or something, they don't get a chance to do that. So that's what we're trying. That's one of the things we're trying to do.
And where did you recruit them for the first time?
So people
locally or
no? So we've had a mix in our 2 years of bringing in international installations or projects, and mixing them with local. But our goal is to reduce the number of international installations and have people build them here. We know that in Calgary there are enough creative people that we could stage eventually all of BEAKERHEAD right here.
And we're certainly not lacking engineers.
Well, it's probably second most engineers per capita in North America. So we know that the abilities and the creativity are here, but we have to get on the map first. We have to make people, that's why we do programs like this, right? That people have to know that BEAKERHEAD exists before they'll start participating.
Okay, how about some examples? I mean, we talk about installations, events, whatever, using last year as an example. What can you paint a picture of some of the things that we saw?
Well, we had a 2-story flaming octopus art car, if you can believe it. Spitting fire everywhere down in, we had them down in Inglewood, and then we had them at Beaker Night. Absolutely just jaw-droppingly cool.
So it's got articulated limbs and
made out of muffin tins and cookie platters and whatever they could find.
And people actually were able to drive it.
No, they had it. So we had a fence around it to ensure that, you know.
They're giant propane flames.
Yeah, it's a little, it's aggressive.
Yeah, the fire marshal would have had a thing to say about that.
So Chloe mentioned that it is at least partly made out of common objects, like muffin tins. And the builders did that deliberately because they want kids not to be intimidated by it, but to think, when they approach it, when they turn the flames off, approach it and say, well, this is stuff we have in our kitchen at home. Yes. Because they really want kids to get the idea that this is not magic and it's not impossible. That you too could be involved in building something like this.
You don't need a big manufacturing plant or some other kind of black box to make these things. You
do have to be a bit crazy though.
Give us another example.
Yes.
One of my favorite things was something that's a little bit hard to describe, and that is the problem we have with BEAKERHEAD. But if you can imagine something like a trampoline made out of a net, but 3 layers, and you go into its covering, it looks like, you had the perfect term for it.
Like a marshmallow.
It looks like a marshmallow. You go in this big marshmallow, and there's a net. You take your shoes off, and you climb on the net. And if you're good and you understand it, you can find where to get to the next level and roam around on that net, and then the third level. So kind of
like a maze.
Like a maze, but you know those bouncy castles for kids? This one's for adults. And it was fantastically popular, even though you only could spend a handful of minutes in it because we had to keep moving people in and taking people out. Yeah, so completely different from the octopus. And I think the common theme is unexpected. Like you don't expect either of those things.
So do you have some experiences for younger crowd and others for adults, or is it just adults?
It's actually all both. We deliberately don't program for kids because we suspected, and I think it's right, that a 2-story high octopus that has flames coming out of all 8 arms and the top of its head is going to appeal to anybody, whether you're 8 or 80. And so we do have lots of things for school groups, some specifically for schools, art projects, engineering projects. But in general, we just try and find things that we think will appeal to anybody.
And you have a fairly significant population participation from schools, do you not? Like how many students would have seen it?
So
it's 4 days long, isn't it?
5.
5. Wednesday through Sunday.
But including Wednesday and Sunday.
Okay.
So what we had about 20,000 grade school children participate, which is really, really cool. And one of our programs that we do with one of the schools is what was it called? The launch.
Oh, the BEAKERHEAD Intensive?
Yeah, they created the coolest phone booth. People would go in on Beaker Night and charge their phones, and it was all powered by bikes, and so it was co-powered by kids pedaling bikes and solar powered. It was wicked.
So bring your friend, one plugs in, the other one
pedals forward.
So one ends up exhausted and the other one has got a fully charged phone.
There you go, everybody wins.
But you know, astronauts are a good symbol for us. Chris Hadfield was here the first year, but we also had an Aboriginal astronaut from the US both years, and he took part in a web extravaganza, over 100 schools. And so we're trying to reach out from the city of Calgary as well, but it's still a Calgary event, and we're not thinking yet of establishing satellite Beakerhead events in other cities, because we're really just starting. And we need to really get a good, firm grip on what we have.
So this is pretty much unique in an urban setting.
Made in Calgary and happens in Calgary.
All right. So how can people get involved, either financially or as volunteers or whatever?
Well, I certainly wouldn't deny people the opportunity to participate financially.
Okay, so you're still looking for sponsors,
Funding,
patrons?
Yeah, we're looking for patrons, sponsors, donors. And we understand that we have to demonstrate that this is a worthwhile project, not just for the entertainment value, but for the fact that we're casting engineering in a different light. The boards of education are really excited about the Beakerhead idea that you don't just talk about things, that you actually do things. So we've got support there, but of course they don't give us money. So we need corporate and individual donations.
So if I'm a retired engineer, here's something I can support.
But also as a volunteer. If you're not interested in giving money, but you think this is a cool idea and you'd like to be involved, you can go to the Beakerhead website, beakerhead.org or .com now, and it's quite clear that where you have an opportunity to sign up. So, and actually volunteering, there's a great opportunity to become really integrated into the process, because we need more people than we actually have.
Oh, all
And
the time,
for
right?
the event itself, how many volunteers are there during the 4 days? How many people
Well, I
do
think
you
we
need?
had a total of, 2,000 or something last year.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, we need more, because this year and last year we're going to have about 45 different things, whether they're big installations or workshops on the art of making coffee that Phil and Sebastian do. So we have, 30 people might attend that, but you need, what, 3 volunteers at least?
Sure.
So it multiplies, and then you can't
Overall
ask people
security.
to do that every day, 5 days in a row.
No, all right.
So on your website, if we want to volunteer, we can go in there and find the spot
If you want to
give
volunteer,
our
I'll take
name.
your name right now.
Okay, well, let's get to the dates so our viewers can put it on their calendar. This year, 2015, it's September
16th to the 20th.
16th to the 20th.
So from the Wednesday to the Sunday. Saturday night is Beaker night. We're going to close down 10th Avenue for 4 or 5 blocks, and it'll be just a huge celebration. Last year we had the equivalent on the Stampede grounds.
And what does it cost?
Well, Beaker night doesn't cost anything.
It's mostly free, is it not?
Almost everything is free. We do have a couple of ticketed events. I work with a band to present science, and we're going to be at the Weber Auditorium in the Weber Academy out in the West End for 2 nights, so that'll be ticketed, but these are not going to be expensive.
So there's a great opportunity. Well, thank you very much to Jay Ingram, co-founder, and Chloë Smith, Communications of Beakerhead here in Calgary. Please stay with us. On continue en français.